In association with NASSCOM, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, My Startup TV brings the Tech Next show. Join us on the 1st and 15th of every month for inspiring stories, news and views. Each episode will feature a young, innovative and dynamic company. Tech Next show will be broadcasted on NASSCOM Hyderabad's YouTube channel. You can watch the program live on our Android app and across social media, or you can simply log on to www.mystartuptv.in.
Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I am your host Aishwarya. NASSCOM AP and Telangana, in association with My Startup TV, brings you the special show that showcases inspiring stories, news and views. The show is broadcasted on the 1st and 15th of every month. The program is broadcasted live on My Startup TV's Android app, available on the Google Play Store. This episode is on cybersecurity. Top headlines for today are: Virtual B2B meet between Jeddah and NASSCOM. Karnataka government and NASSCOM tie up to help students. NASSCOM's future skills to promote digital fluency. Now the news in detail are: the Consulate General of India, Jeddah, in association with NASSCOM, hosted an exclusive virtual private B2B meet on the 11th of October. There will be more than 100 meetings with India and Saudi companies to enlarge the ties between Saudi and India. Karnataka State Higher Education Council, with the help of NASSCOM, is going to enter into an MOU to help over 5 lakh students and faculty every year. They are planning to provide industry-aligned skill development experiences to students in higher education levels. NASSCOM's Future Skills has introduced a foundation IoT course with Jigsaw for the students of engineering, computer science, statistics, physical sciences, mathematics, and working professionals. The partnership is to boost digital fluency in all possible fields. With the declaration of the winners of the grand finale event of Healthcare Innovation Challenge 2, NASSCOM Center of Excellence is eyeing the deployment of solutions for the digitalization of Indian healthcare by reducing the burden of healthcare infrastructure. Sona BLW Precision Forgings Limited, aided by the Ministry of Electronics and IT and NASSCOM, is looking forward to upskilling its workforce by industry-relevant and government-recognized curriculum-based courses with Future Skills Prime. That's all for today.
With technology becoming a part of everyday life, there are growing security threats to our personal and official data, and it is emerging from the use of technology itself. There are MNCs and startups that are providing cyber security solutions for its users. Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I'm your host, Major Sunil Shetty. On our panel discussion, we have 3 eminent guests from the cybersecurity domain. Our first guest is Ram Bandireddy, Senior Vice President, Pre-Sales and Product Management at Cotelligent India. Our second guest is Dhananjay Atmuri, Director for Global Security Delivery at Cotelligent India. And finally, our own in-house cybersecurity expert, Vinit Nair, who is also the CTO at Humble Fox Studios. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Let's start with the very basics. For many people out there who probably would have heard about cybersecurity, threats from cybersecurity, but don't really understand what it means. So let's start with Vinit. Vinit, tell us, what is phishing attack all about from the layman's point of view?
So in short, phishing attack, the most common attack technology used for getting credentials or forcing someone to enter something that is not something to be given out. I could send you, for example, if I want to get somebody's Facebook account, I could make a fake website, like a Facebook-based website, and I can send it to you. It's not the original Facebook website, obviously. You would be, obviously, you will think like this is like the normal Facebook and you'll put your username and password into that. Instead of that, going to something like Facebook's data center line, like it's getting logged into that, it is sent to me. And I get your credentials like username and password. In short, the phishing attack is like tricking somebody to enter information that is critical to the person, like username, password, credit card, anything, into a fake website or fake hosted areas, so that I or the attacker gets information to that. It's pretty, if you think about it, it's pretty straightforward, but new technologies have emerged to protect it, but it's still the most widespread attack possible right now in the world currently, still.
What kind of attacks, apart from what phishing attack we're talking about, what are the other threats that we as individuals, as organizations, as governments face today?
In addition to what Vinit mentioned, right, we've got the social engineering, another type of attack, wherein you don't require just the external forces who can intervene into your system's technology, but leeway in the internal, within the internal security perimeter as well, or technology perimeter as well. And the social engineering attacks, these are some of the attacks that can be curbed with the awareness trainings within the organizations or within the areas that we work in. This is something that has to be curbed, because this is very easy to get attacked during the cybersecurity.
Coming to you, Ram, is it possible to protect ourselves as individuals and organizations from such attacks? Companies like yours, you're into cyber security. So what are the solutions that are available out there?
I mean, there are two factors here. One is the common people who get attacked on a daily basis, right? We receive a lot of SMSs, we receive a lot of WhatsApp messages, we receive a lot of Facebook messages, and all of them are trying to make you enter your credentials, or say, at the end of the day, the ultimate motive is financial benefit for the criminals, cyber criminals. And the only way to avoid any of these challenges are education and awareness, right? So we all need to be aware. Any piece of data we share, do not WhatsApp your Aadhaar card or other important documents and be unprotected, right? So, and do not click on links which are very obvious, but at the same time, if everybody has a cell phone, and we have billion cell phones or more in India, and we are prone to attacks all the time, and the criminals are always looking for this. They're looking at billion cell phones or mobile phones or smartphones, and they're thinking they can make a lot of money out of it. So the best tool here is education and awareness. We need to bring awareness to the entire population. And when it comes to enterprises, yes, it still happens in enterprises as well, but there are, sustainable tools to measure them and prevent some of these attacks, right? We have gateway tools. And in the last 18 months or so, things have changed. We have moved from a perimeter wall to a no perimeter wall. There's nothing in between us and the application server. All of our servers are now, majority of our servers are now in cloud, and there's nothing in between. So we are open to attacks. So, and there are tools in enterprises, but not as efficient as they need to be there. Our enterprises, especially in India, and the government organizations are adapting, and Intellecta provides insights into what is happening on endpoints. We collect the logs on the endpoints, desktops, and even smartphones, and we would be able to distill the logs and find out what kind of threats the end users are facing or the enterprise is prone to. And we can mitigate them. We can alert our end users that they have launched a virus, they have touched a virus, or they have launched a malware through the email, and we can alert them. At the same time, when we are, in thousands, we can manage it. When you have in lakhs and crores, it becomes challenging, right? So the only way for us to stop that is automated, and that's what Intellecta does. Intellecta automates all of this process and starts sending alerts when they click on the wrong link or their data is at risk. So especially when the data is at risk.
So when you talk about protecting your data, and not clicking on links that you're not supposed to. Let's say we do it, which happens most of the time. What are the are there any solution that can immediately help you fix the problem, Ram?
I mean, there are solutions like antiviruses and your endpoint securities. When you have a stronger endpoint security solution on the laptop, which is up to date, I say up to date because the signatures are updating every moment, every day. And when we have these signatures updated, there are zero-day attacks which happen all the time. And as long as the antiviruses and the endpoint security tools are efficient, there's great protection, not the best protection. I mean, it still protects up to 90 to 95% of the attacks, but there's still that 5% delta, right? There's always that zero-day attack, which actually makes everybody vulnerable and prone to it. And that's from the end user's perspective. From an organization's perspective, we can see, I mean, we would be able to have visibility into who is clicking that and what kind of behavior is the end user looking like, and the patterns how the patterns changed from the last 30 days or 60 days, and all of a sudden they're going into they're clicking on a link which is from a foreign nation or a foreign IP address.
So, Mr. Dhanu,
What kind of role is AI playing in ensuring the cybersecurity?
Okay, I'll just share an example, right? With the AI coming in, and especially all of us are aware of identity access management, right? So one of the areas that can help from the AI is the predictive analysis. So for example, what kind of access the individual would require, or what kind of access or entitlements that the individual would require or doesn't require. For example, in a team of 10 people, there might be a request for an entitlement from one person, and similarly, the AI can predict and tell the manager that, hey, the rest of the team members would require this. And from the protection standpoint, if there is an unwanted access that it presents for a particular individual, that can throw up a message to the manager stating that, hey, your team member has got additional access, which can be vulnerable at a later point of time. So that is how AI can help this is one just example, but there are several examples that we have in the market today. And as Ram mentioned, we've got Intellecta, which can provide that to some extent.
so Mr. Dhanu,
They say criminals are always ahead of people who create law, or the law enforcing agencies or security agencies. Do you think ever cybersecurity experts like you and a company like yours will be ahead of the criminals?
This is kind of an yes or no, right? We can definitely protect to a larger extent, and the solutions that we have currently in the market from the Cortelligent India services, we definitely will be able to protect the individuals in the organizations and the organization's infrastructure, people, and system. But yes, there's always a factor that unknowingly, or as you rightly said, the bad actors have got a lot more than what the cybersecurity experts do. So there's always a probability.
Coming to you finally, Ram, where do you see the future of cybersecurity? As you rightly said, everything going over the cloud. There's hardly anything left between the user and the cloud. Where do you see the future of cybersecurity?
It's wild west, right? Right now it is all over the place. Everybody is placing data everywhere, and with the clouds being introduced, we are just putting data everywhere. And with WhatsApp and anything is prone to be attacked. And I think whoever stays ahead and finds that niche and tries to protect the customers will be very successful, right? So, and there's no alternative of being ahead of the cyber criminals. It comes down to, and no matter which environment you are in, it's a matter of when, not if. So we all need to be cognizant, and we need to have a cybersecurity strategy to beat the criminals. And even so, we need to make sure we are warned about the threat, And in the event we are breached, we need to mitigate the risk and reduce the financial burden on the organizations. In the event some threat happens and there's a breach, we need to be able to address what kind of financial damage has it done and how quickly the business can come back into business, right? So, and there's price to be paid for every organization which breaches their data. So it's important to be proactive, protect the data, protect the assets, and protect their employees and all of the intellectual property.
So the final question to you, Vinith. You're also part of a startup which is cybersecurity. Do you see more startups, Indian startups, coming into this space, and what are the opportunities for them?
Now, I have been regarding startups. I'll just come back in that question in like 1 second. But I have attended two things, that is OWSAP Seaside and one more cybersecurity conference. I attended it like 2-3 years back as well, and the amount of people I could see this time was very high. And then there are a lot of friends I have in this space as well, and I actually asked them, what's like your goal? In the olden days, they were like, yeah, I want to get into Google, I want to get into Apple and stuff like that. But now people are actually becoming like, I want to make my own startup on cybersecurity. I want to make a zero-day exploitation lab. The people who don't know, zero-day exploitation is basically vulnerabilities that are not found yet, and they are like discovered in like some alienated area, and like it comes to us and something like that. So yeah, cybersecurity startups are like a new thing now. Like we have AI startups, or cybersecurity startups are also coming up. It's definitely slow because the pace to catch up with this thing is pretty difficult, because unlike an AI where you can have an idea like I can have a machine that can take water from my fridge. It's pretty easy to do that. But in cybersecurity, you need a lot of people, a lot of talented people to find vulnerabilities and actually make an exploit for them. And not to forget that these things take a lot of time. I mean, I would like to give one example, and everybody would be knowing about this. Is the bug known as Meltdown and Spectre. It's about a CPU bug. It was there in these CPUs for more than 10, 15, 20 years. But it was recently discovered in like 3-4 years before. So it takes a lot of time to discover all these things. Startups in cybersecurity, definitely, I would definitely like to see a lot of them. They are coming as well. In India, definitely there has to be a lot more, I feel like.
So it looks nations and countries will have to have their own. The next new army is going to be the cybersecurity force, which both nations and organizations will have to have. And it looks like with young professionals like Vinith and seasoned professionals like Mr. Ram and Mr. Atmuri, at least India's future seems to be secured when it comes to cybersecurity. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Welcome viewers to My Startup TV. I'm your host Major Sunil Shetty. Many years ago, an antivirus software was all that was needed to secure individuals and organizations. Today, when individuals and organizations are using technology in every sphere of our lives and business, the threat from cyberspace has also enhanced. This has forced companies, governments, and individuals to use advanced solutions to protect their information. To get a better insight into cybersecurity solutions, I have with me Ram Bandireddy. He is the Senior Vice President, Pre-Sales and Product Management at Cotrigent, India. Welcome to the show, Mr. Ram.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us about your company. You're over 10 plus years old. What space of cybersecurity do you work in?
Right. So we are about 20 years in cybersecurity space. We were founded in 2001, and we were originally founded in New Jersey, and then we have so we are focused on cybersecurity primarily. And if you look at the world today, it has changed completely. The dynamics of security has changed completely, even within the last 18 months. In the last 18 months, we have seen that the perimeters have been torn down, and we're all logging into applications without firewalls. We are logging into cloud environments. So the only barrier between us and the application is identity space, right? So we are a managed security services organization focused on managing the threats and reducing the threats. We have a patented product called Intellecta, and our solution provides insights into organizations' threats. So we would proactively identify all the threats in the organization, whether they arrive from network or applications or source code, or even from a desktop. For example, if one of the employees receives an email and accidentally clicks on a link, and they would probably be opening up a door of malware, and they could be accidentally downloading the malware without knowing that they're downloading malware, and they could be breaching their data without their knowledge. So there could be a malware sitting on the laptop and talking to other laptops or desktops or servers in the network, and possibly passing it to the application server and impacting the entire organization, right? So we have seen a lot of data breaches in the last several years, and we are there to protect the data. We can proactively identify any breaches or threats in the organization and help identify the breaches, the threats, and block them.
Tell us about your patented product. How is it different to whatever other solutions are available out there for cybersecurity?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the Intellecta product is itself a very unique product because everybody is focused just on threats. We are focused on threats, proactively identifying the threats and blocking the threats. At the same time, we also help automate the compliances. In today's world, we all need to be compliant to some regulation, right? So whether it is PCI or if you use credit cards, or if you have customers from Europe, you're probably prone to GDPR. If you access healthcare information, you're prone to HIPAA, and the state governments have their own compliances, and they have to comply to the central government security policies. So we help automate all of those compliance requirements based on the customers. Again, we are very active in government organizations. We're very active in healthcare. We're active in financial industries and retail as well. So all of our customers not only take our help in identifying the threats, but also use us for automating their compliance needs.
So today, cyber is no more, or the threat emerging from cyberspace is no more limited to individuals or organizations. It has even gone up to the level where countries are, involved in it. As a company, what kind of solutions do you provide to government organizations, if you do?
So absolutely. So this is very helpful, especially when we have nations being proactively attacking other nations and trying to get secrets or IP, intellectual property. We help all of those threats, right? We identify those threats, and we can see what the origination IP address is. Where is that IP address coming? Is it coming from a different country like China or some other organization? And we can proactively geotag that IP address and correlate back it to other events happening in the organization, and we would be able to help mitigate that risk or the threat.
Tell us about what kind of services do you provide as part of the solution?
So when we take our organization, we are a purely managed security service provider. So in other words, we would be helping organizations, we would be helping governments manage their security operations center. We would be able to monitor all of their events and help identify the threats, whether it is from the networks, whether it is from their applications, or if it is a human error. We can analyze the human user patterns and see if it is very abnormal, right? So a normal user logs in, does access to applications, but never transfers data to other nations or other IP addresses which are in dark web. We would be able to help identify if such activity is happening. And so from soup to nuts, we actually started as an identity access management software company, and we have helped several organizations in identity access management and governance space. So that's what our background has been. Our founders came from the identity space, and they realize that just helping identity is not going to be good enough, right? So that is still bread and butter of our business. We still manage a lot of identity and access for several of our financial customers and healthcare customers. But with the managed services solution, we would be able to monitor their vulnerabilities. Let's take Apache, right? Is it running the latest Apache's application server or not? And if it is running the latest one, is it prone to other vulnerabilities? Does it have the latest patches? We can help manage the patch management as well. From soup to nuts. If you have, we would be one managed security service provider who can help the customers secure their infrastructure from end to end. And in today's environment, cloud plays a big role in our lives, right? So we all are used to AWS environments, Azure environments, and GCP. One of the things we can identify is, depending on how they're using the cloud. Again, for us, it doesn't matter what cloud you use. Are you an Amazon user or a Google user or a Microsoft user? For us, cloud is cloud. We manage and we can identify the security posture of all the cloud environments, for all the heterogeneous cloud environments. We can identify the misconfigurations. If somebody has opened up their servers to the public, we would be able to identify that. As simple as that, right? It is a small configuration issue, but there's a lot of threat in it, right? So somebody could accidentally leave a storage bucket open to the old, and there could be all of your Adware information or social security information, or even credit card information, right? So we will be able to identify all of those threats in an organization. And if something is exposed, we can help send an alert to the security team and help mitigate that. It can start as simple as alerting the customers and then mitigating, right? So we have automation available in the product. As I mentioned, from a compliance perspective, our customers have been asking for automation, and in the last 18 months, we have seen tremendous growth in that space, and we're seeing our customers appreciate all the efforts we put in. And we had a lot of software releases in the last 18 months to meet the new compliance requirements with the remote working being enabled, right? Overnight, everybody had to scale up their remote infrastructure, and we've been helping our customers proactively.
Cotelligent has started 20 years ago. What kind of challenges were you facing then? You faced then, and today with the enhanced adoption of technology, what are the opportunities emerging?
Absolutely. So we started as I mentioned, identity access management software company and services in the software services industry. And we have evolved as an organization, and we have become a full matured MSSP offering. Now, there are very few companies who go into that breadth and depth from an managed security services. With SaaS as a service, we had to evolve ourselves and re-innovate ourselves and become a MSSP with the SaaS offering we provide today. And as part of it, we built this product called Intellecta. Initially, we had customers using it on-prem in cloud. Now we made it part of our core managed security services offering, and we use it as our backbone for offering all the managed security services. From Intellecta, you can manage or monitor your vulnerability management stuff. You can see how the data has been organized within the enterprise, and you can mitigate all of those risks. And whether you have cloud environment, whether you have hybrid environment or on-prem environment, we can help identify all the risks ahead of time proactively and help our customers avoid penalties, right? Penalties is a big thing, especially we have several customers in North America and Europe, and we help our customers from not paying penalties for compliances like GDPR. We have helped. We start with the discovery phase. We identify where the data is and what kind of risk is it prone to. And every data is different, right? So it could be a citizen's data, it could be credit card data, it could be social security or Adware in India, right? So we help identify the data, and then we can apply the governance across what we find.
Thank you, Mr. Ram. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hosting you on the panel talk show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Cheers.
Tech Next Show will be broadcasted on NASSCOM Hyderabad's YouTube channel. You can watch the program live on our Android app and across social media, or you can simply log on to www.mystartuptv.in.